just want to welcome everyone to our second town hall on this for VBN proposal. My name is Rob Valentine. I am a co-founder of Friends of Virginia Beach National, and I'm going to be your moderator for this evening. Now, those of you that came to our last town hall, you probably got some of this information that I'm going to present to you, but in a limited time here because we have other speakers. But I am going to go over what we originally gave you based on that FOIA information that was released. It'll be abbreviated, but it'll still have lots of information for you. If this is your first time and you have no idea what's going on with it, we hope tonight when you leave, you're going to have the information that you need, armed and prepared to maybe, we encourage you, to go to the council meeting and use your 3 minutes to speak about how you feel about it. That's the only time you're going to get with your voice. All right, so we had a sign up here for emails if you wish to give your email. It's not mandatory. Not at all. I wouldn't do that. What I'm doing is I've created, and some of you probably are on that email from the first time, an email blast that I send out as an update to how things are going on this process. If you wish to be included in that, put your email down. If you don't want to, go back in there and scratch it out. We're not taking roll. We don't need any of that. All we need is if you want to stay updated as things happen here, you're welcome to sign, put your name on there, and put your email address on. One thing that I'm going to abide by tonight, and that is questions. We're going to do a Q&A after all of our speakers. We're already behind because of technical difficulties by a few minutes, but I don't want to disrespect anyone. I know you have a lot of questions. Here's what I would recommend. If you've got a phone, you've got an iPhone, you got notes, put it in your notes so you don't forget your questions. If you got a Droid, I have no idea what you do. I'm not a Droid person. So use a piece of paper. You got some handouts. If you need a pen, borrow a buddy's pen or whatever you need. Keep those questions because it's important. If we stay on task and on time tonight, we believe that the last 45 minutes tonight, you're going to be able to ask questions, give comments, speak to those that are here that maybe agree with you or don't agree with you, and have a conversation. What I like to call seminar. I said a lot of that last time. The information that we're giving to you can be overwhelming, but there are people here that you can talk to, network with. That's how all of this started. Just by networking. By someone telling me, you need to talk to this person, you need to talk to that person. And I'm going to give you a little history about our group. First, a little bit about me, because a lot of people have asked, you don't really always tell us who you are. At City Council, the first time I talked, I didn't give them a chance to know who I was, because they knew who I was. At the second one, I said good evening, because I only have 3 minutes. But tonight I have a little bit more. So first of all, I am Rob Valentine. I'm a resident of Virginia Beach. My family's been here since 1972. Raised in Kempsville, and my mom currently still lives in our family home there in Kempsville. I'm a retired captain with the Virginia Beach Fire Department of 25 years. I'm a retired Master Sergeant of the U.S. Air Force, where I spent most of my time in the reserves, and I did 26 years there. I'm also a retired successful business owner where we employed 125 residents of our community in Hampton Roads, especially during COVID. I'm also a former substitute teacher for the Virginia Beach City Public Schools for 15 years. Recently just retired from that, but I keep seeing students and maybe I need to go back to it, I'm not sure. I've been married for 23 years to my lovely wife here, Regina. We have 3 children, 4 grandchildren. I currently live in Sandbridge, and I find myself as the co-founder of Friends of Virginia Beach National. So that's about me, that's enough. So what is Friends of Virginia Beach National and how did it start? Well, I've known for some time that there was something going on about the possible sale of VBN. And some of you remember, many months ago, we actually went to a city council meeting, and that's before they decided who they were going to give it to, because they're giving it to them. I attended a council meeting, listened to them, and I've been a member at VBN for at least 10 years. On June 18th, though, something extraordinarily happened. Extraordinary. Documents from a FOIA, that's a Freedom of Information Act, were read on social media, on a Facebook page. It was shocking to me, but I knew that it was important to research and to do my due diligence as a citizen concerned about my golf course to find out what is this all about. Because it's a lot of information. It's 46 pages. Thanks to Honorable Mr. Chris Taylor for putting that information out for us, knowing that something didn't sound right. We have the truth up to a certain time, and that's what I'll present to you tonight. From there, I was given contact information. Chris and I talked. Didn't meet for a long time. Venkat and Usha, who are here, they said you need to talk with them. I did. And we also had two other people that were involved in the RFP process, and we decided we needed to meet and do something. So we wanted to try and educate our public. We wanted to take some action about this RIP. That's a request for proposal, RFP. We met at our house, our house, June 29th, 2026. We discussed our shared values and concerns, developing a strategy, and the Friends of Virginia Beach National started taking shape. So we decided to hold a town hall on June 6th, right here in the library. And the purpose for that was to discuss the proposed sale and the redevelopment of VBN, review documents obtained by that FOIA, and educate and coordinate a community response. That was a very low scale at the time. There was only a few of us involved, but we had a good turnout, at which we do tonight. I'm happy everyone is here. We then used social media influencers. I'm not a social media guy, but I can tell you I've learned in the last 8 weeks, there's some social media influencers. We used email blasts and to get our message out. Also to attend the July 7th council meeting and speak. And I did speak, and many of us did speak. I was then contacted by many of our community, leaders of our community, to add to our group others that had the same passion for protecting our city and holding our government accountable. We would talk about other issues in the city, and when we did that, we realized that it's just not about Virginia Beach National. It's bigger than that, much bigger. On the July 14th City Council meeting, they deferred it. That was our first goal, just to get a deferment, and we did. For whatever reason it was, we got one. And when we did that we realized that now we've got some time to organize even bigger and get to work, and we did. On August 1st, we met at my home, our home, to unite, create, and represent a larger voice of our community. And it includes all that will be speaking tonight. And let me just say something about this group. First of all, we're non-political. We're factual. We want the facts given to you, okay? But I can tell you that this group that's meeting at our home, that's speaking tonight, they have different perspectives when it comes to the political world. But I can tell you at our home that day, that wasn't it. It was about the shared... It was about the shared concern about things that are happening in our city. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. There are things that I didn't know about and that are still happening, and we need to think about the future. What can we build for the future that goes to council and say, not this time? And we know that's not successful. It hasn't been successful in the past. But what I've been told is this might be a really large gathering of community representation for the first time maybe in a long time. Not just me, all of us doing what we're doing and doing our part. All right, I'll move on. Eagles in Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach National. They're there. No doubt they are there. Let me tell you about them. In early July, Aaron Clemau contacted me concerning the possibility of eagles residing on our golf course. Now, we know that. If you've played Virginia Beach National before, you know they fly around. We've got pictures and videos. I was on the golf course today, and that deer on number 1 and 2 was there. It came up really close to us today. The eagle flew over us about a month ago on hole number 1. Everybody's going, Rob, there goes your eagle. So there are eagles there. But here's the importance. She, with a group of people that were concerned in Suffolk, when Ryan Holmes was going to build a large community on the old VDOT property that just happened to be near the water, they found an eagle's nest. Okay? They found an eagle's nest, and the golden eagle and the bald eagle are protected by a 1940 Protection Act. 1940. It's our national bird. So how important is that? She was able to continue getting their counsel to defer it, to study it. She contacted federal and state. She got it mapped on the mapper that's here in Virginia that will be there forever and protected forever. And she said, Rob, it's important. You got to find those nests. I didn't think it was a big deal. I really didn't. I said, all right, let's go see if we can find them. So, with the help of some Virginia Beach National friends that play there all the time, that know it's there, we found 2. We found 2 of them. The first one, I stood right underneath it. I showed some people today. It's obvious if you know where it is. I stood right there, did a tag, sent it to the federal and state, and the next day, actually, it was the morning of our Townhall maybe, or of a Civic League meeting. I got a message at 2:22 in the afternoon. Your nest is officially protected. Yep. So that's the first one. Now we have a second one, and I'm thinking, wow, we got a second one? So eagles will go to a secondary nest, depending on feeding. And out at Virginia Beach National, they got a lot of fish. And they have a lot of other things. So someone that we play with that happens to live near there said, there's another eagle's nest. I see them all the time in the fall. So I found it based on their direction, did the same thing, took a G-pen, pictures, video, asked people about it, got that documented, sent it to them. They're going to come back in the fall, and they're going to climb the tree. That's what he does. He climbs the tree to ensure that it's active, and it'll be mapped as well. Now here's the great thing. Whether it's mapped or not, just notifying them and they identify it as an eagle's nest, automatically protected forever. And if you destroy it or you disturb it where they do not come back to that nest, that's pretty significant. Pretty significant. So, how does that play into this development? I don't know. That's not my expertise. But the federal and state, I'm sure they'll have some say on it. We believe there's another one. Can't find it yet. They love the loblolly trees. They're up 100 feet up in the air. I'm not climbing 100 feet, but I'll go into the woods and try to find another one, but I haven't been able to find it. All right. So the Friends of Virginia Beach National believes in 4 core tenets. Non-political. Accountability, where we focus on responsible stewardship of leadership, evaluating areas for improvement, and providing practical solutions to the city. We also want community engagement. Okay, we emphasize building strong, healthy relationships and actively engaging residents to move the city forward together. What City Council thinks they're not going to get is public input. That's what they're hoping a lot of times. They hope that no one shows up and the 3 minutes only last about 10 minutes and they can sit there and doodle on their pads for 10 minutes. But when we have 30 people show up or 40 people show up, 3 minutes each, that's important. That's why we need to be actively continuing to do this. Not just for the golf course, but for future projects and things that concern us all. And finally, transparency. This highlights clear standards and openness regarding goals and the processes used to achieve them so that everyone stays informed. Not city staff, not council, not the VBDA, not VBED, not the Planning Commission. It's everyone, which is us. We are the ones that voted city council members there, and they took an oath to do things for us. So we need to hold them accountable. All right. So I'm honored to be among this group of passionate, driven, and some of the most educated people I have ever met concerning government and how to first fight for us all. In our group, we have members from both sides of the aisle in politics that have put their political views and beliefs aside, have come together as citizens of Virginia Beach for a united common cause. And I can tell you, the people that I met, some people said, you'll never get them together. Am I right? Yeah. You'll never get them together. Just wait. Just wait. So our goal tonight, through our guest speakers, is to arm you with information that we hope will fill in the gaps, cause you to pause and consider. Does the current proposal being considered by City Council pass the sniff test? Was it fair and equitable? Does it make sense? Should I be concerned about past and future decisions being made by council members on our behalf? That's what makes it globally for all of us in the community. It's not just about the golf course, but it's a big part right now because that's what's being driven. All right. So this is pretty serious business. Things are going on within City Council that are unethical and unfair, and our voices need to be heard. So, we strongly encourage you to, at the very least, show up this Tuesday night to the City Council meeting when they're going to vote on this to show that you are not in support of this sale. Additionally, exercise your right to speak and sign up for the 3 minutes you get to address council. It's not a long time. Prepare your remarks carefully. All right? And be respectful, please. Be respectful. All right, so I'm going to briefly give you a timeline based on documents released by the attorney, which he was required to from a FOIA, Mark Stiles, on October 25th through a Freedom of Information Act request. Now, this timeline starts in April of 2024, and we kind of get to tonight. So it's a timeline of certain people. Dragus, specifically Helen Dragus, City Council members, certain ones, the Virginia Beach Economic Development, the Virginia Beach Development Authority. Anybody see a commonality term in there? Yeah. There's a reason they're there. Okay? VBED is supposed to overwatch the VBDA. Also, City Manager's Office, the City Attorney Office as well. And this is communications on Virginia Beach National, and these are emails from April 29th, 2024, April 29th of 2024, through September 18th of 2024. And the last time I showed you the actual emails. You can find this FOIA request on several sites, okay? You can find it, and you can read them, and you can see the emails. You can see the conversations. All right, our first one. So, on April 19th, 16 months prior to notifying all City Council members of an unsolicited proposal from Helen Dragus, the CEO and president of the Dragus Companies, we've got email exchanges between Pamela Witham, who's the senior planner for the VBED, Laura Hayes, deputy director of the VBED, and at the time, this is their positions. Emily Archer, deputy director for the VBED Project Development Team. Charles Rigney, probably don't remember that name because he didn't last very long. He was the director for the VBED, 5 months or so, I think. And then Amanda Jarrett from the Deputy City Manager's Office. Now, these emails discuss the pending meeting with Helen Dragus set for April 22nd, 2024. And Helen is asking for certain documents and areas of VBN to be available at the meeting. Now, communications via email continue in May and in June concerning the proposal that she has presented to them on the 22nd of April. On July 18th, 2024, There's an email from the then director, Charles Ringy, to the city attorney, Alexander Stiles, and Amanda Jarrett. He says, hey, I received an email and phone call from Helen Dragas asking to keep our discussions confidential. Mr. Ringy also states that it would require a redesign and movement of several holes. But here's what I want you to see. But it would, quote, check down several boxes for us if we play our cards right. Does that mean we don't tell the public? Does that mean we rush it through? Does that mean, I don't know what that means, but they're trying to check off some boxes right. I don't know what that means. July 29th, 2024, an email from Amanda Jarrett, Deputy City Manager to the City Attorney Alexander Stiles, and the VBED, Deputy Director Emily Archer, who is now the Director, saying that after speaking with Helen Dragas, they can move into an NDA. Move into an NDA. Somebody in those two, within that group loves doing NDAs. Loves doing NDAs. August 13th, 2024, an email from City Attorney Stiles confirming the signed NDA between our City Manager, Patrick Duhaney, and Helen Dragas. August 27th, there's an email from Drew Vakos. Now, Drew Vakos is the Vice President of Business Development for the Dragas companies. Also happens to be her cousin. To Mac Weaver as well, the Vice President of Business Development Asset Management for the Dragas companies, which happens to be Helen's brother-in-law, and Amanda Jarrett and the Deputy City Manager. This email is important. It has an attachment with a list of documents that Dragas requests. And this is only 20 days after the NDA. Now, what's important about that letter asking for certain documents? The other 8 RFPs that put those RFPs in, they didn't get all of those documents. However, the city attorney said, well, they were available if they asked for them. Now, if I'm building or doing something at my home, I'm off script. I know, I'm sorry. If I need some work done at my home, and I'm going to get 3, we always get 3, right? We always get 3 quotes. Am I telling the first guy everything and the other 2 half of it?
Right.
I'm not doing that. I'm telling all 3 of them because I want them to give me an honest opinion about what they're going to charge me. I don't understand this one. September 17th, 2024, Emily Archer, Deputy Director of VBD, sends an email to Helen Dragas and Drew Vakos. The email provides a shareable folder with all the documents provided to the Dragas companies as requested via the email from August 27th. They've got everything they need. The other 8 did not. But they could ask for it if they knew it was available. Probably did. All right. Now we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you texts. This isn't stuff that's made up. Go find the FOIA documents. This is in there. They had to release it. Probably never thought they would. So September 23rd, this is the first known contact to council members directly from Helen Dragas. She sends a text to Michael. That's the word, it's personal. Michael, who's Berlucci, District 3 councilman. She asked him if there's any chance he has any availability tomorrow at 10 a.m. to meet with her and Drew Vakos, Vice President, we know who that is. Quote, this is regarding a large, exciting project we've been exploring in Virginia Beach. This is September of 2024. Michael responds if they can meet at 1 o'clock at City Hall. Helen says, works for me. See you then. Just 20 minutes later, she sent a text, group text, to Rosemary and Bob, our mayor and our vice mayor. Helen wants to know if the 3 of them could meet prior to Tuesday, as she has an exciting proposal discussed before your next council meeting. This is in September of 2024. So, can't hide that. That comes from them. They had to give up their texts. We're not making it up. You can't create that. It's part of the record. Okay, if you look at that FOIA request, they're all in there. Now, they gave that, and they were all chopped up, and we had to kind of clean some things up and put it in order. But it's pretty easy to put in order when there's a date or a timestamp. So those are all their direct texts. All right. September 24th, 2024. Texts continue between Helen, Bob, and Rosemary, our mayor and our vice mayor. They continued to text throughout the day as Helen Dragas asked for a time and place to meet. Rosemary suggests Friday the 27th at 10 a.m. in the mayor's office. But it wouldn't be my choice, but chose the mayor's office. Now, our FOIA documents stop here because it was a specific date that was requested. 5 months of emails and text messages between Helen Dragas, the Dragas companies, and multiple departments within the city of Virginia Beach, and an NDA sign and the sharing of documents with Dragas. There are no other documents of information provided by the city until 16 months after Helen Dragas makes contact with the city representative. August of 2025, there's a letter from the city manager, Patrick Duhaney, to all city council members. Uh-oh, we might need to make this public now. Stating that there's an unsolicited proposal that's been received concerning the sale of VBN. August of 2025. They've known this since April 2024. But now they're telling them. Gotta tell you, city council. There's nothing wrong with getting an unsolicited proposal. Happens all the time. That's not illegal at all. You can do that. Council members can take it. September 2nd, 2025, closed city council session where city council authorizes an RFP, a request for proposal. In October 2025, an RFP is widely advertised for 45 days, seeking proposals to acquire and maintain a publicly accessible 18-hole golf course. What do you not see there? Housing. You do not see a housing component. November 2025, 9 responses received, 4 with a housing component, and 5 for new golf course operations. December 2025 through January 26, 4 are shortlisted. After review committee convened and council closed briefings, 2 with a housing component and 2 for a new golf course operations were chosen as a shortlist. January to February 2026, the interviews were conducted, and in February 2026, City Council authorized negotiation of a term sheet with a top-ranking respondent. Anybody want to guess who that is? Anybody? Yeah. The Dragas companies. What you got to understand here is it's not simple. This proposal gives Dragas approximately $36 million to develop. That's in the documents. That's in everything we've gotten. That's in the term sheet. If you have time to read the term sheet, read that thing. If they get it, the term sheet is uncontrollable. City council loses all their power, and it goes to the city manager, and it goes to the city attorney. And they get to make reasonable decisions. I'm just giving this information to you. You choose which way you want to go with it. All right. So, who was on the selection committee? Look at the departments they are with. We just mentioned all those departments and all the emails that went on since April 2024.
The same names.
Yeah.
Same names.
Same names. Do you see anybody from the citizens?
No.
Do you see any engineers? Do we see anybody that knows anything about golf? I don't think anybody was asked about it.
No, but they threw them all in for the city council meeting to sing the praises.
Yeah. So, one thing I did was I sent a letter to all of our city council members multiple times. Come out and look at our golf course, please. One person did it. Barbara Henley. Only one that did it, and we spent 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours, and I learned more about this city from the 1600s than I've ever known. It was amazing. I'm way over on I'm blowing it out. All right. So, I wanted to show you something else. City Auditor was asked to do an audit on the VBDA and the current managing group of the Virginia Beach National has had it in 2023. They had had it since 2007. Okay? They did an audit. I'm not going to read it all, but let's see what they said. Doesn't look good for the VBDA. So basically what this is telling you is they found a lot of fault with general absence of written procedures, okay, spanning functions of business operations. Although it was noted that certain control activities such as disbursements, authorizations, and bank reconciliation were present, the absence of written procedures makes it difficult to ensure that sound control activities will be duplicated consistently. And look what else. No VBDA asset management. They left in 2019. Okay? Now they're saying, oh, you know what, VBDA says, we're going to get a project planner in here, and we're going to hire him to do things. However, one thing the VBDA did not do. Next slide. Here's what he found. Per the agreement, the VBDA shall be responsible for all capital maintenance, and then the management group will be responsible for all operations maintenance at the golf course. Currently, there is no formal process in place to identify, track, determine the necessity, and fund capital maintenance needs, which could be in the millions of dollars. Here's the important part. During the audit, we noted the following. Most important part. Semi-annual inspections are not being conducted by the VBDA or the city to determine the necessity of any capital operations, maintenance, and needs in accordance with Section 4E of the Management Agreement. They're supposed to be doing it semi-annually since 2007. Take a guess of how many they did.
None.
Null set for our PhDs. 0. But they were continuously asked to do it. As a matter of fact, the auditor had done one before and said, you need to put mechanisms in place. And they didn't do that. So what I'm telling you is that the VBDA, and there's more to it. All you can do is go on and find it. Just search. Auditor, October 13th, VBDA 2023. It's amazing what's in there. That the VBDA did not do what they were supposed to do. Who oversees the VBDA? Economic Development. Who's the liaison from the City Council to the VBDA? 2 of them. Wilson and Berlucci. I'm not trying to tell you how to think. I'm just giving you the facts. Okay. Next slide. Sorry. On June 16, 2026, Emily Archer, now the acting director, but of course we know today she's director, of the VBED presents a slide presentation to all city council managers, members and the city manager. The slide presentation gives specifics on the process, why it was necessary for the RFP and the recommendations to either accept the terms proposed by Draught, maintain a status quo with a new operator, and continue to defer capital maintenance until funds become available. Funds become available. That's District 2, that in 2025 brought in $22 million of revenue. But we only need about $4 million to fix what's there. But we don't have the money for some reason. We have $500 million worth of roads right now that have been stopped because they can't be completely funded or cannot be funded at all. If you live in Sandridge, like we do, the last 2 weeks have shown what they need to do with that money. All right. Then the last thing is they can do other as directed. And I believe that's probably where we're going to be going with it. So, what are we recommending to City Council on August 11th? Take a strategic pause. Now, some council members will tell you, oh, you just had a pause. That wasn't us. We're not in a rush. Nothing's going anywhere. Take a strategic pause, keep VBN and make necessary repairs, reevaluate the RFP process. Was it fair and equitable? Get public input. Okay? Do we need to sell it? Do we need to do a new RFP if we do want to sell it? But our best outcome would be to vote no. Likelihood, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. So, I want to show you a few slides. Welcome to your new golf course. The Dragus Way.
Where are the Eagles?
Hard to point to it. I can really point to it, but it's going to be off hole number 4, which turns into hole number 5. See where F is?
Yes,
East of that, right by the 2 tee boxes.
I see.
The other one is up over, it's hard to tell, where it is. Around where A is. I think you guys would agree with that.
Yes, I
A.
can see it.
That's where they are. Okay, and look at what we're getting. They probably need to research a Pete Dye golf course and what happens to it when it changes. Because we have, and we're in contact with those people. It's significant changes. Okay? So, here's what council is telling us. That 3.4 million, sorry. Yep. Go, go. Don't, hideous. 3-4.
Great dance.
This is what they're being told. This is what council's being told. This is what a council member told me. But Rob, we're guaranteed $3.4 million in perpetuity from revenue of this development. Someone's going to tell you here in a minute, no, you're not. No, you're not. All this is estimated. All right, next slide. I'm almost done. I'm sorry. I apologize. So, here's what they're saying. Carefully crafted redesign by Timothy Liddy. Yes, he worked and studied under Pete Dye. Pete Dye died in 2020. He had over 150 golf courses in the world. Do you know TPC was his wife's and his only youth course that they actually did together? TPC. First team. First team. No impact to the first tee. Yeah, they don't want that. They don't need that. No homes on the fairways or greens. Well, no, because you got hole number 12 and 13 underwater. Currently right now. I was out there today. I said, welcome to Dragus Way. Here we go. This is their lake. Here's the important thing. 10 holes retain the Pete Dye design. The original front 9 and signature 18th hole retained. The original front 9. They're adding number 2 and number 3 behind current number 2 right now. So the flow of the golf course does not remain the same. And that's a requirement to have a Pete Dye design golf course. I'm sure Mr. Liddy knows that, but he's not telling anybody. We know that. And then 8 new holes are modified golf holes. That's what you're going to get. But there's more. Welcome to your new homes. 4 different designs. This one's going to be on the golf course where I just showed you where the lake is. That's a 4-story with a roof that really is going to make it probably a 5.5, 6-story. I'm a firefighter. I've been in some of these communities where it's hard to get a rig in, especially a ladder. Engine's got to stay out to get a ladder in. All right, I've been in some of these. With my company, we delivered in some of these communities and had a hard time getting our vans in there. So, that's what you're going to get. All right, do I have another one? Okay, so this is just city council being told this is what you can consider. The one thing I don't see is, how about coming up with a compromise? I don't see that option. Actually, this slide changed. When they presented it at city council, it changed from 3 options in front of all of us to 5 options. I don't remember the other ones. I just like this one. Other rest of the record. That's the one I like. Because council can do something else different. All right. Again, I'm just going to reiterate and then we're going to move on. I know I've taken a lot of time. I apologize to our speakers. You're going to have plenty of time. We are not political. We are not attacking anyone. I'm simply providing you, the public, owners of Virginia Beach National, with the facts gleaned from the documents provided to you. The public, by the city attorney's office, because of a concerned citizen, through a FOIA. We shouldn't have to FOIA our own stuff. We should know what's going on, but we have to FOIA. A lot of information has been collected by our group and others that contradicts so many things that we've been told by the VBDA, the VBED, and our city council members. So tonight we're going to hear from our guest speakers with updated information concerning the VBN process, what we're going to do to keep that from happening, and also about other concerns that we have with our current leaders and their decisions. So that's it for me. Sorry I took up so much time. And we're going to move on now to our guest speakers. Hopefully you can take that. Remember the questions you want to ask, because we're going to have time. Our first speaker, the Honorable Chris Taylor, is a former Virginia Beach City Council member, community advocate, small business owner, ordained pastor, husband, and father. During his time on City Council, he represented District 8 and focused on issues related to neighborhoods, economic opportunity, housing, public safety, and government transparency. Chris has remained active in civic and community engagement, including his support for the VBCCO Academy and other efforts that help residents better understand local government and participate in the future of Virginia Beach. He holds a degree in business management from Virginia Wesleyan College, currently pursuing a Master of Public Administration at Regent University. His continued work is centered on service, public trust, and ensuring that residents have a meaningful voice in local decision. It's my pleasure to Honorable Chris Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry that we don't have microphones, but I'm going to speak up being that we're in an auditorium. I want to thank the Friends of Virginia Beach National, to all the speakers, to everyone that's come out tonight, taking time out of your evening. Thank you. Rob asked me to talk about kind of how we got here. He did a really thorough overview. But since the first public hearing, there's been a great deal of new information that has come out to the public. But I want to go back to 2023, when the new council that had won in the November 2022 election took their seats. And if you recall, at that time, I believe there were 6 seats, new seats. And so for the first time in our city managers in the history, we actually had a kind of onboarding because there were so many of us coming onto the council. In years past, you may have 1 member, 2 members flip, but not 6 of us. And so being that it was the youngest city council ever elected, the most diverse city council ever elected, we begin to engage our staff to provide a format and a template so we could have public engagement. So prior to 2023, think about your district, where you lived. How many town halls did you have where your representative came out and talked to you for a couple hours? They weren't taking place that often. And so in 2023, in the form of government, we have council manager, form of government. City council decides the policy and the direction we want to go in. And then our appointed city manager, he and his professional staff implement the said policy. And so in 2023, we agreed that we were going to provide more public input opportunities for the citizens of Virginia Beach. At the time, Communications Director Tiffany Russell stated, "Residents made it clear in our most recent resident satisfaction survey that they want more opportunities to participate in city policy development and decision making." And if you remember, at the time, we were going through 2 very serious issues. We had the redistricting 10-1 system. We were getting ready to hire UVA to look into and study our electoral system. And then we had Pharrell and something in the water that had been canceled, rescheduled, and then completely went away. And so as a council, to provide more context to why we wanted to provide public input, where we were making major policy decisions that were impacting the ocean front, and we were looking at our voting system that we had not addressed in 30 or 40 years. So you could see why, as a council that was newly elected, we wanted to provide you all with opportunities. The 2025 Virginia Beach resident survey confirms this concern. Only 30.8% of respondents in 2025 positively rated opportunities to participate in policy development and decision-making, while 44% identified that greater resident participation was a top priority for the next 2 years. So the survey that was done in 2025, the residents came back to this city council and said, it's still a priority for public participation, but we also want you to make it a priority for us to assist in policy development over the next 2 years. That's relevant because this is the most recent study. You've heard people on the opposition side say, well, you know, some people are providing misinformation. If you saw the FOIA video that was done on June 18th, I did not provide you any of my opinion. I read the documents into the public record. I'm not as concerned about Helen, the Dragus companies and their proposal, but my concern from the beginning was, did I trust and did I have confidence in the city manager of the city of Virginia Beach, who's appointed by the city council, reports to the city council, did I have confidence in his ability and was he trustworthy in the information he was sharing with the entire city council? The American Society for Public Administration Code of Ethics, which is for your professional staff, calls on public administrators to promote democratic participation and fully inform elected officials with accurate, comprehensive, timely, and important information. So that's not the standard for the Dragus. It's not the standard for the unsolicited proposer, but it is the standard for your professional staff that is getting paid with tax dollars for them to provide the city council duly elected complete information so they can make good decisions. As you're learning, and you have learned over the past month or so, meaningful participation requires more than allowing residents to speak up after decisions have already been made. It requires full disclosure with public input, and while public input can still influence the outcome. I do want to commend the Friends of Virginia Beach National and every member of this community who has come together, reviewed the documents, asked difficult questions, and remained engaged. I want to be clear tonight. In 2023, the City Council as a body was not made aware of any potential sale of Virginia Beach National. In 2024, when I FOIA'd the documents from our city attorney, I was the only council member that had asked for any of those documents. And so for 9 months, I sat at a table with colleagues, 3 of which that had been texting and communicating with the Dragus companies about a public asset. And the issue for me was that the city manager, the deputy city manager, and the professional staff were ignoring their professional responsibility. They did not have the discretion to selectively decide who on city council they would share the information with. And by keeping the information from the District 2 council member, as a council, we appoint people from our district to boards and commissions. 2 important boards and commissions, one of which Barbara is at tonight, the ITTA, I believe. We appoint these people to represent our districts, come back and provide the information so we can make decisions. So by withholding the information from the District 2 council member and the remaining council members as a whole, we were unable to go to the very experts that we appoint to these boards and commissions to provide them an opportunity to give us feedback on if this was a solid proposal. That is why I went on camera and read the public record. Not because the proposer, but it is unacceptable for our city professional staff to withhold information from the entire elected body. That is not allowed in the council manager form of government. It is not a norm in the council manager form of government. And I want to be clear tonight, no one on the city council in 2024 as a body in any meeting gave permission to the city manager to enter into any NDA, and we were not told by our city attorney, who does not work for the city manager, that they had reviewed an NDA to sign. Those are important concerns.
Wow.
and they relate to the day-to-day administration and management of your city government. So with that, you're going to learn more information tonight. If you want to know why, what my motivation was, at the time there was a election taking place in 10 days. So for those that have said this is political, why I'm coming out now, I could have come out 10 days before an election. That's typically what you see in politics with a big story. But instead, I followed the direction of the city attorney, who on the cover sheet said to me to be cautious, but if I felt it was necessary to release the information to the public, I could. And so I waited until the city council had selected an RFP respondent, and therefore there was no longer any need for an NDA because they had gone public with their choice. So I commend everyone for being here tonight. I thank you to the Friends of Virginia Beach for setting this up, and I encourage you, when you show up on Tuesday, to be civil. I know what it feels like to sit up there and be attacked, get your point across, but accountability requires transparency. You cannot hold people accountable if you do not have all the information. If the city manager is refusing to answer your questions, then as citizens, your democratic responsibility is to show up and ask those questions. God bless you, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Now you see why we connected, right? Honorable, transparent. That's what we need. Our next speaker tonight, Suzanne Richmond, is a lifelong Virginia Beach resident and an attorney licensed to practice law in the Commonwealth of Virginia. She earned her bachelor's degree from Virginia Tech and her Juris Doctor from Regent University School of Law. Suzanne is an experienced litigator, has served as a prosecutor, public defender, assistant attorney general, private defense attorney. She is dedicated to public service and is passionate about strengthening her community through integrity, fairness, and the rule of law.
Hi, everybody. Mic's not on. Okay. I'll try to talk loud. I'm Suzanne Richmond. I am the plaintiff's attorney, and I filed the lawsuit on behalf of the plaintiffs against the City of Virginia Beach and other defendants. The complaint itself is 32 pages long. It's out there, and it's a public document. I'm not going to get into, there's a lot to unpack in it, and so I'm still bound by the Virginia Rules of Professional Conduct as the attorney for the plaintiff. But the complaint itself is 32 pages long. We also have exhibits attached. I like to call those the receipts that we've been saving. Those are 8,000 pages of receipts. Every factual assertion that I made in the complaint is backed up by an exhibit. So there are facts that support this. I'm just gonna kind of go through the preliminary statement of our complaint. This land is in a subwatershed that the city has certified, and it's not compliant with the Clean Water Act. So that's one of the major issues. This also is home to 2 active bald eagle nests. I received messages from people, the bald eagle statute, they have their own statute, the bald and golden eagle statute. That is separate from the endangered species. So it's unlawful for anyone to disturb their habitat. So we included that in our lawsuit. This land also is not, it's public land, but the Commonwealth of Virginia has a lien on the land. So does the federal government because of flight patterns with Oceania. So there's a lot going on here, and it's not the city's, it's public land, but it's not the city's to just do whatever they want with it. We're asking the court to enjoin the city from authorizing this deal. Once the deed is transferred, we have no recourse. So that's what we're trying to stop with this. We did file an earlier motion back when the vote was supposed to take place in July. We filed a motion for a temporary restraining order. That was dismissed without prejudice, which means that we can bring it back. And the court found that the issue was moot because the vote had been changed. So if there's any confusion about that, it was just that one motion that was dismissed. The lawsuit is still very active. And we're just asking the court to leave the status quo until this matter can be fully litigated. There's a lot that has happened, and there really isn't any sense of urgency unless you have a tremendous amount to gain from this transaction. But it's not going to be available in the immediate future. So that's another thing we're asking the court slow it down. I wanted to close tonight. I'm not going to take questions about the lawsuit. The information is out there. It's a public record, and you can find it. The federal court filing website is called PACER, so feel free to look at it if you would like. And I just want to close tonight with a message of hope. We've really formed, there's a small group of us who are working together, and we're all very different, but this is something we all feel very strongly about. And while we've been working on this, I've been thinking about how that's just such an American thing, that different ages, different races, different genders, different politics, but we care about this land that is public land essentially being given to a developer. So we've been working very hard, and we're the underdog in the fight. That doesn't scare me. I've been the underdog a lot of times. And I say this to my kids all the time, really to my friends. Americans are the ultimate comeback kid. Amen. We have come back from so many things in this country's history. Starting with the American Revolution, when a group of colonists decided that they were tired of paying taxes to a king that was an entire ocean away, and they weren't being represented. So they declared their independence. They fought the American Revolution for over 8 years, eventually gaining their liberty. And they defeated one of the strongest empires in the world. So if that should tell you something. We sent pioneers across this country and moved west. They traveled for a lot of times 6 to 8 weeks, would travel over thousands of miles, putting themselves at risk for disease on paths that quite literally were trails. I mean, there were no railroads, there weren't roads. They used covered wagons, tried to find food. They didn't often have drinking water, and the weather that they endured, from really hot summers to freezing nights and thunderstorms. But you know what those pioneers did at night is they circled their wagons and they worked together, and together we were able to conquer the West. And we expanded westward as a country. We also survived a war where our country was at war with itself. In that war, over 600,000 men died, if not in battle, then as a result of the war. After the surrender, Abraham Lincoln led saying that he was going to be generous to the Confederates and that we needed to heal as a country. General Grant immediately sent food to Confederate soldiers who were starving in an attempt to come together. We did. We also overcame the Great Depression. We overcame an attack on our own soil at Pearl Harbor. Again, Americans working together from different backgrounds to achieve a common goal. We fought against the Nazis in World War II. I think that's a miracle. That FDR, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin three incredibly different men with different philosophies, but they felt so strongly about this that we were able to attack the Nazis from both sides and defeat them. I also think one of the things that's amazing about Americans is using our different talents that we bring. The Navajo code talkers, even though there was victory in Europe, the Japanese were still fighting. Through the Navajo code talkers, because their language was so unique, they were able to come up with a code that the Japanese couldn't break. And we were able to defeat the Japanese and end World War II. We survived the Civil Rights movement, where everybody has a right to vote, and regardless of the color of your skin, you have equal opportunity, because that's American. It's in our blood, it's in our fiber. We know how to fight these fights. And then lastly, I was kind of just reflecting on things that I consider American values or hallmarks of Americans. We believe in conviction, integrity, courage, empathy, resilience. We respect the rule of law because that is what our democracy is built upon. We are self-governing. We choose who represents us. We are a community where we're good neighbors, and you work together, and together we will hold our elected officials accountable because we choose who sits up there. You have that power. That's all I have to say. I appreciate everybody being here, and even if you are not going to speak at City Council, we need to pack the house, make them look at you, fill the seats.
Email them if you can't come.
Thank you. And I'm going to head out because I have a lawsuit to fight and 3 little boys to take care of. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
All right, my next speaker is a distinguished financial economist who bridges the gap between complex quantitative theory, some big words here, and multi-billion-dollar market execution. With over 2 decades of leadership in New York City's financial sector, he has served as vice president of Oppenheimer Funds and managing director at both Trilogy Global Advisors and Chicago Equity Partners. Throughout his prestigious career as a portfolio manager, he leveraged cutting-edge financial data and quantitative techniques to help oversee up to $28 billion in assets. Before entering Wall Street in 2005, he spent more than a decade in academia as a finance professor, teaching and conducting groundbreaking research at institutions worldwide, including Texas Tech University, Southern Methodist University, and Auckland University in New Zealand. He holds a PhD in finance that Stacey Cummings cannot argue with. Sorry, I had to throw that one in there. Sorry. Twice. I'm sorry, that's me, and I don't know what is going on. I got hearing aids in, and that was, you couldn't hear it, it was going off my ear. Originally from India, he moved to the United States 40 years ago, where he and his family became naturalized citizens. He retired here in Virginia Beach 6 years ago, and he now lives in District 2. Mr. Venkat.
Thank you, Rob. So I was asked to speak about the financial impact of this whole deal, and so I'll give you my kind of best understanding of the deal, and I'll explain it the way I understand it. So if you have any questions, well, I'll be able to happy to take it. So next slide. Yeah. So before we get started, let's kind of put all the basic facts on of the deal, and we shouldn't really argue about the facts because they are really the facts. So we can all have our opinions, but facts are facts. So I kind of laid out all the facts as I understand it, and again, a lot of the source of this information is the city. Okay. So the total cost of redeveloping this golf course is $38 million for the Dragus deal. $38 million is the cost of developing this golf course. Out of that, the city will contribute $19.8 million. So basically, they're going to put $17.94 from the city, and then another $1.8 million from the VBDA. So together, $19.8 million. And by the way, the 17.94, where does it come from? is basically the sales proceeds. The city is supposedly selling selling the golf course for 17.94, but they give it right back to the golf course. So they say they're essentially giving the land for free, okay? So they're not really giving it. They're saying, I'm going to give you 17.94, but then the Draught gets it back. So they're not really putting anything in. So the city is putting totally 19.8 million, and the remaining, which is 18.4 million, is what Draught actually puts. So out of 38 million, 18.4 comes from Draught, and the rest, approximately 20 million, comes from the city or / VBDA. So more than 50% of the redevelopment costs come from the city. But, and here's the kicker, Draught keeps 100% of the profits. Any profit they make, it goes to Draught, but we put more than 50% of the money comes from the taxpayers. Okay, that's a fact. By the way, talking about facts, I think Rick so you said Rick was left. So apparently somebody in the city said it's not a giveaway, but they need to explain why that's not a giveaway. So on the top of this 19.8 million, the city contributes 7.9 million, or 7.9 million they spend for infrastructure. Within the golf course, the private golf course, infrastructure for roads, whatever, everything together is 7.9 million, which they know of. And then there are other contingencies on the top of it, probably about almost $10 million on the top of it. But the known infrastructure costs are 7.9 million the city is going to put into the golf course. And then, apart from the golf course, they're going to give them 42 acres of land, and this is where Draught puts in 659 homes, private condos, townhomes, which they can sell and make more money off that. So this 42 acres has 659 condos. And you might ask, the city will say, we are making money, and how does the money come from? The money is supposedly coming from the tax revenues from these 659 homes. So the property tax revenues from these 659 homes, or 3.4 million, is supposedly the revenue from the city. So that's how they justify putting all this money up front. So they put almost $20 million and say, we get $3.4 million in tax revenues. So that's their justification. And again, the 3.4 million is after about 6 years, once everything is built and the tax revenues are stabilized. 6 years later is when they kind of make this 3.4 million. But the other missing piece on this is that right now, the city essentially owns the golf course and they're making money from it. So there are cash flows which the city is getting right now from the golf course operator. So under the current deal, the VBDA, which operates the golf course, gets money from 3 different ways. The Virginia Beach Golf Club has to pay VBDA under 3 different headings. One for operations payments, and that's supposed to be 6% of golf course revenues, golf course fee revenues, and 5% of all other revenues on the top of it. So that's what they're supposed to pay for operating the golf course, so that the VBDA gets that. Secondly, they get a similar amount for under a different heading for capital improvements. So the VBDA is actually getting money from the golf course operator for the necessary capital maintenance. So keep that in mind. So we are supposedly getting that money. We are getting that money. And the third thing is that the VBDA is supposed to get 25% of any profits over and above 100,000 per year. So it has to go to VBDA. So we have been getting all these 3 sources of revenue. And how much is that? So, and again, these are the numbers came from the city. I didn't make that up. In 2025, they got 230,000 or 231,000 for the operating the golf course, 231,000 for capital improvements, profit sharing 127,000. Totally, the VBDA got 589,000 just in 1 year. Okay, so it's not like this is just lost. I mean, the VBDA is making some money from the current golf course operator. Over the last 20 years, if you look at the total, VBDA has made $5 million. So this is the total amount, and not even adjusting for the time value of money or anything like that. Just adding up all the cash flows which the city has got from the golf course, it's $5 million. And keep in mind, the city paid $4.5 million to acquire this land in 2007. So they more than recovered that. They got $5 million. And then, this is the part which is important. Under current deal, the VBDA is responsible for all capital improvements for anything over $5,000. So the money they have been getting, they're supposed to put it back into repairing the golf course, which they have not done. So every 6 months, they're supposed to inspect the golf course and see what needs to be done and spend the money. They have not done that. They have not done any inspections. They have not done any maintenance. They're taking the money and using it elsewhere, and they have not put any money back into the golf course. Okay, that's the reality. So they're receiving the money, but they're not going into repairing. And now they said they need more money to repair. Okay. Okay. Now there's a Draught proposal on the table, and this is a slide from Emily Archer's presentation on June 16th. So this is slide 18. And this is their main slide. They say this is a great deal. It's going to make $18 million over 20 years, and the NPV stands for net present value. So net present value in today's dollars, they claim the city is going to make $18 million from this Draught deal. And at the heart of this assumption is that the $3.4 million per year. So that's the main assumption they're making, the $3.4 million in tax revenues. And then if you discount all that, and again, they do take into account all the costs, but they say if you get $3.4 million in tax revenues, it's worth it, and it's a positive NPV, net present value of $18 million. But the one crucial thing which is missing is there, if you add 659 homes and you have 1,300 people, the city has to spend something on them. You can't just collect taxes and say, hey, this is like a money machine. People just pay taxes, and you don't have to do anything. If that's the case, why start with 659? You can have 1 million homes, right? Makes no sense. It's not a money machine. Their people pay taxes to get something in return. The city assumes zero for the cost of operating the 659 homes. Nothing for schools, nothing for sewer, nothing for stormwater. I asked Emily Archer, you put out the statement, what is the assumed cost of city services? Where is it? She says, we will make this analysis and we'll study that after the fact. She says, we have not done that study. And she admitted, and I have an email on that. She told me, we have not done the analysis, we'll do that analysis after the sale is approved. And we have a rezoning decision a year later. At that time, we'll revisit it. But the decision's already been made. You're going to sell it to somebody and then decide how much it's going to cost you.
Well, so those people have to move from out of state for a net positive tax.
So there are a lot of assumptions built into this. So they're kind of very loosey-goosey. They kind of wave their hands and say, no cost, just all revenue, it's all positive. So that's basically their assumption. So they have $18 million. So they assume zero. So here are the three key problems with this deal. One is that essentially you're giving the land for free. Remember, we give 17.9 and they give it back? They're getting it for free. They're getting 350 acres for free. So this money transaction is just a paper transaction. We're supposed to give 17.9, but we give it right back to them. So that's a kind of a funny deal. So we're not receiving anything. We are giving the land for free. That's number one. Number two, as I explained, if you have 659 new homes, we have 1,300 people moving in there. Stacy might say they come from Kempsville. Doesn't matter. Somebody has to move to Kempsville. So you're not going to have empty homes anywhere. If you build houses, people come. That's the whole idea. You don't have empty homes here, right? So when you have houses, we need to service them. We need to and there will be 200 school kids. So you got to have teachers for them, classrooms for them. You need stormwater. You need sewer. None of it is accounted for. Zero. Okay? Stacy Cummings can argue with me, but it is a fact. It's zero. It is zero. It is zero. Okay? Now, so we have to make some assumptions. We cannot allow zero to be the answer. Okay? So the city currently spends $2.8 billion per year. So that averages to about $6,200 per person. Now, I understand there's something called fixed cost and something called a variable cost. So given that, I just took half of the 6,200 or 3,100 as some ballpark marginal cost of having these people. Yeah, some city services we don't need a new courtroom or whatever, but there'll be some things you need to spend on, right? So you take half of it. I said let's take half of 6,200 or 3,100 per person as the potential cost of these people. So if you multiply that by this 1,300 people here, that comes to $4 million per year in today's dollars. Okay? Just a rough number. Okay? If you don't like it, if Stacy doesn't like it, what's his number? 0 is not an acceptable answer. 0 is not an acceptable answer. If you don't like my 3,100, what is it? Then you have to tell me. Okay? Okay, so I did my own analysis. So I said, I'm going to make a 20-year financial projection and to see what is the true net present value. They said $18 million positive, right? So what is the true number? So in year one, 17.9.4, we get a positive 17.94, but then we give it right back, and then we put that 1.8 million. So the total cost is 19.76. That's a negative number because we're giving it back to them. And then we're spending $7.9 million in known infrastructure costs. We got to take that into account. And then, yeah, this is something else I'm doing. Again, I'm being generous to the city because one of the things the city says is that by selling away this land, we are going to save money because otherwise we would have spent money in repairing it, and they say they need to spend $7.7 million in potential repair costs for this golf course. So by selling away, we are saving money. So I put that as a positive inflow. So, and that's in finance, that's standard. That's like an incremental sense, that's like a positive inflow of 7.7 million because we are saving ourselves the repair costs. I put that as a positive. But then, this is something the city doesn't do, but I'm doing, is that when you sell off a land, we're going to give up on these profits. That's a negative number because we are there's an opportunity cost. We own land and we give it away to somebody. Right now we are making some money, some cash flows. We are not going to receive that anymore. In an opportunity cost sense, that's a negative number. So you got to take that into account. And again, I didn't take the entire 600,000 because remember half of it is for capital improvements. So I said I'll just take only the operating cash flows and the profits, and I put that as a cost. So approximately $300,000 per year now, and kind of grows at 3% over time. And then this is where they're 3.4 million, and these numbers came right from them. So after 6 years, we get tax revenue of about 3.4 million. So that's an inflow, and that's what they talk about. And in their cash flow projections, none of it was there. The only thing is there is one positive number. For them, no cost, only inflows. Makes no sense because you got to take into account the cost. So I assumed my cost of city services, and again, in today's dollars, it's about 4 million, and then so that grows to about 4.7 million after adjusting for inflation about 6 years later. So take all that into account, your net cash flows year by year, it's never positive. It's negative every year. It's not positive. So the $18 million profit is a bogus number. I'm sorry to say that. It's bogus. Okay? Cumulatively, over 20 years, in today's dollars, how much is it? Negative 22 million. So they have positive 18 million, I have negative 22 million. Big difference. Okay? So this is the reality of what we are facing, and they are pulling a fast one. So if you're going to tell me honestly, I'm going to lose $20 million because I like affordable housing, at least that would be an honest answer. What they're telling us right now, that's a win-win situation. We have 659 homes, $3.4 million in tax revenues, and it's all positive. Everything is positive. Makes no sense. They're not being honest with us, and that's only my problem is.
Someone up there on council should not be pushing that button. That's all I got to say, because you can't argue with that, that's for sure. Can't argue with the numbers. Sorry. Don't usually yell, because I don't have kids anymore, so.
You want mine?
I have my 4-year-old with Moana. That was awesome, so granddaughter. All right, our next speaker. Born and raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and after being a 20-year business owner, she was forced to close due to the effects of Obamacare. Waverly became a political activist, and for the last 15 years, she has educated herself on the political process, worked to elect constitutional Christian conservatives. Whether it was John Moss on Virginia Beach City Council, unelecting Aaron Cantor, with Dave Bratt in Virginia's 7th for Congress. We're helping to replace Denver Riggleman with Bob Good in Virginia 5 for Congress. She has never wavered in her principles and values. Waverly, and she's going to tell you, hey, it's Waverly. She is unapologetic pro-life, pro-God, pro-gun, pro-family, conservative, committed to restoring our republic. However, no matter what you're thinking, no matter what she's thinking, no matter what we all think, she understands the value of building coalitions and working with others on the other side. That's why she's a member of our group. Ms. Waverly.
We're not going to need a microphone. I'm good. So thank you all, and thank you, Rob. I can't tell you that it's really astonishing, because you heard my resume and my principles, my values, what I believe in, and this is the second time in my life that I have found myself working with people I naturally disagree with. And I am vehement about that. And they are is equal. And so it's a pleasure to work with so many people that actually disagree with me. I find that amazing. So the one thing that Rob asked me to talk about is the Virginia Beach Tea Party. People, which I was stunned, I had no idea people didn't realize it's not a political party. That it actually, we've been talking about this little thing that happened 250 years ago when we the people had a revolution about taxing our breakfast beverage. And we took that tea and we dumped it in the Boston Harbor. And at the time it was called the Boston Tea Party. Well, now you take it 250 years later, we're not in Boston, but we're in Virginia Beach, so it's the Virginia Beach Tea Party. And if you think about it, and our letters T, T-E-A, their capital, stands for taxed enough already. So we're not a political party because the political parties have their own agenda. Our agenda is 100% about being taxed enough already, but it's also community-based. So Virginia Freedom Caucus and the Tea Party actually made it a very natural alliance because their agendas are the same. It's about we the people. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle we the people are actually on, because when it gets down to brass tacks, we're on the same side. And on most issues, we actually really agree on the same thing. So just to clear up, we're not a political party. I thought everybody knew that already, but that's okay. We're not in Boston, we're in Virginia Beach, but let's toss some tea. So thank you. Okay, the other thing that Rob asked me to talk about, which he saw on one of my videos, is the TIP, the TAP, and the CIP. If you want to see more details than what I'm probably going to have allotted time for, you can go to the Virginia Beach Tea Party Facebook page. You can go to the Virginia Freedom Caucus Facebook page. You can go to my personal page. I have a public figure page. All of these videos are there with detail. What we discovered is what I've known over the last 15 years is the layers of bureaucracy that our government creates. And I explain it pretty simple in the videos, and I'll recap it here. Think about every time you go to get gas. You go to the gas pump, and you're going to fill up your car. You know, when you put gas in your car, part of that tax is supposed to pay for the roads. And you're seeing some roads that aren't getting taken care of. Well, the one thing, and this is a real term, is called a lockbox. Now, you think that's just a real estate term because they put a lockbox on a door when a realtor wants to show a house. But that's a term used in the General Assembly and in your layers of bureaucracy, this lockbox. And what they don't do deliberately, and that can be Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, I don't care who they are, they deliberately don't put a lockbox on these bills where we're going to tax each of you for something like the road tax. That not putting the lockbox on there allows them, when they overspend over here, they can take that money out of these other entities and balance the budget. In Virginia, we have to balance our budget. So that said, happens right here in Virginia Beach. They ain't putting a lockbox on any of this, and they write this so very vaguely so that it can have a general term to it, and they can use the money for just about anything. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about first is the TIP. That is the Tourist Investment Program. That is a real thing that you are taxed for. Where does the tax come from for the TIP, the Tourist Investment Program? That comes from every hotel in the city, not just the hotels at the oceanfront. So everybody thinks, oh, well, we're going to stick it to all the tourists. No, guess what? You stick it to all the tourists, they stop coming. So it's every hotel in this city that pays into the TIP fund. It is the meal tax. Oh, let me get my flyer. My meal tax here. So every prepared meal. So whether you go and buy a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store, you have them prepare a sub for you, you go out to any restaurant. If it is a prepared meal, you're going to get a 12% tax. The city gets 6%, the state gets 6%. And it's gone up. We have the highest meal tax, second highest meal tax. We're higher than Los Angeles. We're higher than New York City for a meal tax. Now, when you think about all of that, so that goes into the TIP, and I'll go into more of that with the meal tax too, but the other thing that goes into the TIP funding is entertainment. So you go to the movies, you go to a concert, your kids play softball or baseball, you go to a sports event. That pays into the TIP. Golf also pays into the TIP. So whatever golf course you're playing at, you're going to pay a fee that goes into our tourist investment program. What we discovered 2 years ago is we took a picture of the Virginia Beach Development Authority's website, city's website, and it had all of these CIP projects on their website. CIP, Capital Improvements Program. That is the responsibility of the Virginia Beach Development Authority, is to take care of those capital improvement programs. What's not on there was the golf course. If the golf course is paying into the TIP, why isn't its capital maintenance on the list of things that need to be taken care of by Virginia Beach Development Authority? Was it because they were already in bed with Dragas and they're going to pass the buck on to her? It's just a question you can ask.
Inverse condemnation.
There you go. So that said, it's not on there. But what is on there is the wave park for $54 million. They have parking, $26 million down at the oceanfront. They have the oceanfront bathrooms at $2 million. The list is long, and it's all down at the oceanfront. So that's the CIP, and that is another layer of bureaucracy, all designed to confuse you. Okay, and that CIP, the Capital Improvements Program, is paid for out of the TIP fund, where you just learned where all that tax is coming from. Okay? So that's what's going on with the TIP, and the golf course isn't in it. You can't get an answer out of them why they didn't put the golf course in it. If they're paying into this capital improvements through the TIP funding, why isn't the golf course listed? Okay, there's some other things that you need to know about that's going on there as well. The TIP funding brings in about $60 million a year. $60 million a year. And again, you can see more details on the videos that I put out. But the list of projects that are on the CIP website, the Virginia Beach Development Authority, with the list of projects, it's well over $60 million. Okay? Well over $60 million. How is that getting paid for? It's not. It's not. This money with the TIP funding is literally being used as a slush fund for these developers and all of these private-public partnerships. None of them are getting paid off. We're simply paying the service on the debt. We're not paying any debt off. If you are in a financial crisis and you have to raise everybody's taxes, your real estate tax just went up over 5%. You have a 12% meal tax. All of this goes into these tax revenues. Anybody, when you are knowing that you're short on your budget at home, you got to pay your electric bill, you got to pay your water bill, you got to pay your kids' soccer, you got to pay your mortgage. You got a lot of things you got to pay on a monthly basis in your house. When you know you're coming up short, what do you normally do? Stop spending money? I don't know. Just a thought. You start looking at the crunch in the numbers. What can we do without? We don't need Kool-Aid this week. The city's already forcing us to drink it. So, that one was for you, Rob. Looking at you, babe. So I'm just saying, and by the way, I recommend everyone drink the tea, not the Kool-Aid. Just saying. So that's, I mean, just common sense. Look, Stevie Wonder can see this, okay? And I'm not Venkat. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going toe-to-toe with Venkat on numbers, and I'm certainly not going to go toe-to-toe with John Moss either. Okay, they have forgotten more than I learned. But it's basic common sense. It's not common core, it's common sense. If you're overspending, the first thing you do is stop spending. Another bright idea might be to cut loose some of this open space property that we don't need. The question I have is, look guys, this isn't going to end here. It's the golf course right now that's given us the light of day. Well, we all heard about the Cavalier Hotel. We didn't get our money back when that got sold, okay? We're not getting our money back with this wave park. That's a bottomless pit. And there's so many questions I could go into about that thing. So it's not going to end. And here's the thing. At the June 16th meeting, I was there, and Venkat was there, several other people there that I knew, and they talked about future plans of Lansdowne. They're going to do more development there. And we're going to literally lose over half of our farmland in the Lansdowne area if they accept this project that the Dillis Architect group put together. Over half our farmland. And why are you building all of these office parks and corporations if we don't need them? But some of the things, too, that you need to keep in mind. So this isn't going to end here. This is just where we turn the lights on and the roaches are starting to scatter. So it's not going to end here. So the TIP funding, you understand where it's coming from. And I want to talk about the TAP fund, Tourist Advertising Program. That, all of those same entities that I just talked about, hotels, meals, entertainment, pays into that as well. TAP fund doesn't have as much money, but it's advertising for tourists. Okay. These entities are not even paying for their own advertising. You got the Dome Project, you got the Wave Park, all of these private-public partnerships now qualify for this TAP funding. This is your tax money paying for someone else's business to have promotions. So let's think about this. This is crony capitalism. How many hotels are paying into that tip fund because there's a hotel in the Wave Park, there's restaurants in the Wave Park, there's going to be a restaurant in this golf park. And yeah, thank you. And so there's all of these restaurants that are paying 8 or 12% into this tip funding. The other thing you need to realize is a part of this Dragus contract is that they get performance grants. The Wave Park gets a performance grant. All of these entities, not only do they get these performance grants, what is a performance grant? That means you collect all that tip money that you just, your parking, your meals tax, the tax on any service when you go in to buy something, all of the taxes that are generated specifically, either it's going to be out of the golf course, the Wave Park, any of that, you pay it all year long. And at the end of the year, they've written in their contract that you get that performance grant. You just fill out that form, and you're going to get all that money back. These people aren't paying the tax. You are. You're paying the tax. They're simply collecting it, and then they get it back as a kickback. That's in the deals, all of them. All of them. And in the study, and in Venkat's being extremely generous, he didn't include all the taxes they're getting back that you paid.
That's a lot.
And in the Dragus deal, there's a part in her deal where she's going to get 10% back of maintaining her own property. So we're going to sell her this property, or we're actually going to give it to her because, they're just going to wash their hands. And in the contract says she gets 10% of her maintenance fees back. So she's going to own property that we're going to pay her to maintain. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Because I still haven't been able to digest that one. I've never. How many other business, anybody a business owner in here ever been a business owner? How many of you got your how many of you got these deals? This is the best sweetheart deal. You want to know why the rich are rich?
They laugh
It's only this certain club. And I'm going to tell you, these organizations that are asking you to compromise on this, they got their hand in the till in these other things. So think about it. So that tap money, the tip money is coming back to them. They don't want that meal tax to go away. Think about that. Nobody that's getting a kickback wants the meal tax to go away. That's why it's important it should go away. Now the other thing, the tap, and I said they're doing their own they're not doing their own advertising. We are. We're paying for that. That comes out of your tip or your tap money. You need to think about that. So again, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. One of the other things that are in this contract is that Patrick Duhaney and Mark Stiles, Patrick Duhaney, city manager, Mark Stiles, the city attorney, they get to determine what reasonable money we need to pay Dragus should she have any problems. You know, like the Wave Park found arsenic that we can't figure out what's really going on with that. So we had to pay $8 million to clean up the mess of arsenic with the Wave Park. They've now left an open end here if Dragus has any kind of problems with this deal. That's not in Venkat's or Emily Archer's presentation either of how much money we would have to pay. They get to determine that figure. Reasonable. What is reasonable to pay Dragus to help clean up some mess that is there? The other thing that's not talked about in that same agreement is that those two gentlemen get to define the word reasonable. Now, I know all of us went to some basic high school here, and we learned what reasonable meant out of the dictionary. These guys get to redefine it. They get to redefine the word reasonable. That's something you need to take into consideration as well. So there's a lot of open end with this. Oh, and by the way, if the golf course goes unused for 2 years because she's got construction problems, she's got bald eagle problems, she's got drainage problems, all of this, and I'm going to hit Hutchinson up because he still doesn't know what stormwater drainage is. How these people get elected is beyond me. So if it goes 2 years unused, well, then we get to take it back. Well, doesn't that sound good? Yeah, the train wreck she's made of it. We have a functioning golf course right now that's actually making the city money. She gets to train wreck it up, not use it for 2 years because she didn't want it anyway. The emails that were produced by, thank you, Honorable Chris Taylor, it says in there that she's not sure whether she really wants the golf course or not, but she definitely wants to build some homes. That's in those emails, and I have copies of them. So this is kind of what's going on, and I want you to realize the bottom line here, A, there's layers of bureaucracy meant to confuse you, and 2, it doesn't end with this golf course. If you allow this to continue, it's only getting worse, and we're going to be belly up. Because we're not paying off any of this debt. We're just servicing it. And they're using that $60 million to juggle things around. There's a guy that got a hotel. And by the way, the Franklin guy with the drainage problem over at the Silo project, it's my understanding he was on the board of the Virginia Beach Development Authority while he was making his proposals for the Silo project. Is that a coinky-dink or is that me? Yeah, so, but resigned, but he got all the information he needed while he was in there. And the same thing happened with the guy that's got the hotel now, that you're paying for somebody else's hotel, but that's being used with state gap bond funding. And that's just a fancy word for meaning everybody else in the state's going to buy this guy's hotel, and you're not even going to pick out the drapes. You're paying for it, but you're not even picking out the drapes. So there are consequences, and you drive the bus. You guys have these choices. You can either keep this and say, yeah, we'll accept it, because they're going to do it. They're making deals behind the scenes right now. I'm hearing about it every day. And you aren't a part of the deal. You are going to pay for the deal, but you don't get to make the deal. Think about that. They're making backroom deals every day. And they're shuffling the deck on the Titanic to figure out what they're going to do with all of you. You can be quiet, or you can stand up and say, we've had enough. Thank you. One last thing. I have the breakdown from Phil Kellum's office. This is the 10-1 system, breaking it down for district by district. Who's paying the most in taxes, who pays the most in the tip and the tap. If you want a copy of this, because all of the money I just talked about is going to the ocean front, and it is not being spent in your district. This came from Phil Kellum's office. We never had it before. Please feel free at the end to ask me to take pictures of it for your personal benefit. Thank you again.
Thank you. When we met at Waverly, that was a fun ride, I can tell you that.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Hey, it's Waverly. All right. Our next speaker, Melissa Lukeson, is a Virginia Beach business owner, community organizer, advocate for public education, drawing on a background in finance, entrepreneurship, and grassroots organizing. She works to connect people with the issues that shape their communities, whether organizing forums, educating voters, speaking on public education, local government. Melissa believes lasting change begins with when ordinary people decide to get involved. That's what I was. Now I'm not ordinary evidently anymore. Melissa.
Hi. I'll actually be pretty quick because, everybody has covered so much. I work with a group called COVA Coalition. I also started the Virginia Beach chapter of Public School Strong because I do a lot of public education advocacy. And then I also started a PAC called Elect VB. It's just a wee little PAC, but the thing that I focus on most is looking for and to support candidates or elected officials that are working in truth and transparency. It's me, I'm the problem. When Waverly and I, ideologically, I think Waverly and I are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But this is the second time I have been in a coalition with Waverly because at the end of the day, local government is, we can all pay attention to the headlines of, the 24-hour news cycle and talks about the all the national politics and stuff. Not enough people talk about local government and what's going on in our cities. And so I got bit by that bug 5 years ago. But to back it up for just a second, 16 years ago, I tried to open my business here in Virginia Beach. Required a conditional use permit. If anybody in the room is familiar with those, and that process is a little bit of a challenging process to get that done. And I had two former council people who just decided they didn't really want my kind of business. I'm in the tattoo business. And so, you don't say. But they just had a little hair up their ass, and they just didn't want my kind of business. And so they literally tried to collude to stop my business from getting a conditional use permit, which really struck me as odd because I'm like, why are you doing this? I'm like a mom, I have 5 kids in public schools here. I'm just trying to open a business which is going to provide revenue for the city. I felt like the city council was supposed to be pushing forward things to provide revenue, but I guess if they don't like tattoos, they didn't want to do that. So I always say that they actually started the process of making me a menace that I am today. It actually started 16 years ago, but 5 years ago is when I started paying attention to what was going on. I went to speak at a task force meeting for the Independent Citizen Review Board, and that was my foray into starting to understand how the city operates and how some of these council people move. And then I started seeing boards and commissions and following that, and I'm like, well, I'll put my talent bank application in. I'm not the smartest person in the room all the time, but I'm pretty smart. And I want transparency, and I want honesty, and I want a better city for not only my adult children, my youngest is about to turn 26, but my 2.5-year-old grandson, right? And But I'm mouthy, so mouthy people don't get appointments to boards and commissions. I did just get put on the Mayor Safety Task Force, by the way, though. And that was because I brought the news out, and they're just like, God, can we do something with this lady so we can shut her up? Give her something. And so I am grateful for that appointment. However, even though I have that appointment, you're still going to catch my mouth. I don't care what political party you're a part of. If you're not doing the right thing, you're not doing the right thing. And I'm going to tell everybody about it. I'm going to tell your mama, tell your sister, I'm going to tell everybody that you're not doing the right thing. And that doesn't fall in party lines. And I think people need to realize that a lot of the boards and commissions, if you notice, they're donors and developers. We have a crony problem in the city, and most of the things that happen in the city are being bought and paid for by the political donors to the people that are sitting on council. And don't get me wrong, it takes money to run an election and to get elected. So, but it also, when you're looking at the types of projects, you know, I've taken over the last 5 years so many L's to the face, y'all. Like, I've had maybe 2 wins, you know, what I would consider maybe a win where you know, we kind of fought against it, it didn't happen, or in one instance, it was just me. I was the single person that stood up at a city council meeting and said, no, you shouldn't be doing this. And they deferred it. And do you know what they did? They deferred it for a year and waited till I wasn't paying attention anymore. And then they passed it quietly. And that is the stuff that I noticed I started noticing that they do. And so my job is to get people engaged in local politics. Like I feel like that is just my purpose, is to get people paying attention. Because this kind of stuff has to stop. They're literally peeling away everything from the taxpayer, and they're handing it over to people who are already wealthy, who have generational wealth off of the backs of the Virginia Beach taxpayers.
Amen.
So I always tell people when I'm trying to organize people, to get people, not everybody's comfortable showing up at a city council meeting and speaking. It's 3 minutes. Make sure you time your speeches if you're going to speak. If you're not comfortable speaking, that's okay. We need butts in seats. That's what I tell people. I don't care if you can't speak. I need butts in seats. I need people to show up and fill those seats. I need to talk to your neighbor. I need to talk to your kids. I need to talk to all the people and show up, because they hear me all the time. They don't listen. They're fiddling with their phones. I mean, especially me. Some of them get a little bit nervous when I walk up because they don't know who is going to be the target, right? They're like, oh God, is she going to come at me? But I mean, I kind of like that. But I need people to understand that they see some of us who speak, like Waverly and I showing up, they're just like, oh, you're right. But when they see some of you that they've never seen before, it makes a difference. Because they look at every single head as a vote. And so, I don't really like that either, because I think we should all value one another and listen with compassion and respect, and while holding people accountable. And that it doesn't matter if I like you as a person. If you're not doing the right thing, I'm going to tell you you're not doing the right thing. And so that is all I'm going to say. I just really want everybody to come out on August 11th and show up and tell your neighbors and tell your people so that we can get this thing done.
All right, our final speaker tonight, we've just partnered with this person and brings some really good value to what we think will be going on in the future. The Friends of Virginia Beach National is going to be a short term. It may be 2 years, maybe 3 years, depending on our legal battle. But I think we needed to be in something that was going to be long term. Melissa Draught is a lifelong Virginia Beach resident and co-founder of Responsible Growth VB. With a background in digital product management, corporate leadership, and strategy, she hopes to help residents understand complex city decisions, protect local natural areas, and ensure that our city leaders put the community's best interests first. This is Melissa.
Okay, you guys have been sitting for so long. Thank you. I hope you can hear me in the back. So I am a co-founder of Responsible Growth VB, and if you'll go to the next slide, I'll leave this visual up so you can familiarize yourself with it. I will ask you to raise your hand at different points today just to get the energy a little bit back in the room because you've been sitting so long. So raise your hand if you have not heard of Responsible Growth VB. That's what I thought. Okay, good. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about what that is. We are a grassroots, nonpartisan group of local residents who care deeply about our city's future. We are not anti-growth. We have growth in our name. We believe that our city can continue to grow and thrive, but that growth should be responsible. That means that these major decisions, like the one to sell Virginia Beach National, involving public land and taxpayer dollars, should be guided by transparent governance, sound financial analysis, and long-term planning. We believe these decisions should not be rushed without residents fully understanding what's at stake. So I will ask you once again, raise your hand if you know all of the decisions in front of City Council that could potentially impact you.
Yeah.
Not that many. That's what we got some very high achievers in the room, but there really aren't that many of you that raised your hand. So that is why we exist. So Responsible Growth VB was founded to make sure these important decisions don't happen quietly and to give everyday residents like the people in this room an easy way to learn about them and make your voices heard. So another important thing about us is that we are not just focused on one project. You've heard this a couple of times tonight. This is not just about a golf course. We work to educate residents about major land use decisions and development decisions that will have long-term impacts on our communities. And over the past year, we've helped residents engage in issues including Virginia Beach's comprehensive plan, the interfacility traffic area master plan, the proposed sale of signature or rezoning of signature at West Neck, and even supported residents in Chesapeake who were working to strengthen protections around data center development in their community. So our goal is always the same: make complex planning issues understandable and give residents an easy way to make their voices heard. So what's at stake today, what's at stake this week is Virginia Beach National is potentially going to be sold to Draught. And we're urging City Council to vote no on Tuesday. So there are three critical reasons for that, and I think you've heard a lot of them tonight, but I'm just gonna re-emphasize the three ones that we think are the most important. One, the financial picture does not add up. Venkat showed that very clearly. Two, the bidding process has raised serious questions, and we believe that the city should guarantee that all developers compete fairly under identical rules. And our third reason is that it conflicts with long-standing planning policies. The high-density housing of up to 18 units per acre that's being proposed exceeds strict density caps south of the Green Line. Not to mention that the site is on poorly drained soils, and paving over green space increases runoff and regional flood risks. So I'm gonna actually give you one thing you can do tonight. I know everybody here has said the most important thing you can do is come to City Council, sit in a chair and show them that you're listening, that you're paying attention. I agree, that's the most important thing you can do. You could also speak for 3 minutes on Tuesday. But whether you do those things or not, tonight, right now, you all have this nice orange half sheet of paper that I handed out to most of you when you walked in. So one thing you can do, you can take 2 minutes tonight and send an email directly to the mayor and city council from the Responsible Growth VB website. So I mentioned we were trying to make civic engagement easy. We have, on this side, you'll see, this is our email form. You enter your name, your email address, and your city council district. If you don't know it, there's a link here to help you fill it out. And then we actually already wrote an email for you that captures a lot of the sentiment of the speakers you heard from tonight. You can send it as is, or you can personalize it if you'd like. You can talk about how often you play at VB National and what it's meant to you over the years. And basically what our draft says is it clearly states that you do not support the selling of Virginia Beach National Golf Club to Dragus for redeveloping the golf course with residential housing. And that email, again, is the single most important decision that you can do, or action that you can take tonight, before Tuesday, before we sit down for a vote at City Council. The second most important thing you can do tonight, we're gonna wrap this up. The second most important thing you can do tonight is to share this with your friends and family, right? So after you send your email, it takes 2 minutes, it'll take you another 10 seconds to send that link to your friends and family so that they can all do the same. The more emails that we can generate before Tuesday, the more pressure they will feel to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community.
Are you on social media?
I am, yes.
So is that
We're new.
on social media?
Yes, it is on social media. Yep, absolutely. And then 2 more things I just want to point out. We have a QR code on the bottom left corner if you want to learn more about the decision to sell and redevelop Virginia Beach National before or after you send this email to the city leaders. You can do that on our VB National page that I developed in collaboration with a lot of the speakers that you heard from tonight. On the bottom right corner, if you believe that this work is important, I hope that you will consider supporting Responsible Growth VB by scanning that QR code in the bottom right corner. Every donation is going to help us continue to educate residents across our city, expanding outreach on social media as well, and making sure that all of the community voices are heard in the decisions that our city councilors are making. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming.
You can actually speak twice on Tuesday. The public hearing is one speaking opportunity. That's a public hearing that they didn't hold properly the last time. And then there's the actual agenda item, that's the vote. So you can register to speak on both items. Give them 6 minutes of your time.
So what I want to do is I want to open it to questions, but we also want to recognize our president of the Virginia Beach Coalition of Civic Organizations, Rick Boyles, is with us this evening as well. I have learned more about government and what they do and don't do, which most of it is what they don't do, by these people. And Rick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't want to be argumentative, but within the last 5 minutes, I got an email from Amanda Barnes, our city clerk, who said that she will be limiting everyone to 3 minutes total.
Here's what you do.
The open mic is that night after. It's not televised, but they can't stop you from speaking, I don't think, on open mic.
So I guess the best thing to do is show up, ask to speak, sign up, and say you want to sign up twice. See what they do. All right, what I want to do is I want to open it up. We don't have a lot of time because I took up a lot of time. I apologize, but I want to open it up for questions. Before we start moving outside, I'm going to start over here first. We're going to move around. So we have a question.
Okay, well, this is not so much a question as a comment. My name is Teresa Chadwick. You don't know me. I'm Waverly's partner of Virginia Tea Party. I'm the vice chair. One thing you can do when you talk to these city council members, you need to remind there are quite a few of them that are up for re-election in November. If they want to vote for this, their re-election chances just went. Yeah.
I believe we have several members in the audience who are running for city council. You can't fix a city without getting rid of the current leadership.
We got quite a few here.
Did you stand up?
Yes, we do. We got quite a few.
Rick, what's your vote for city council? District 6.
Okay.
District 9.
8, 9, and 6. All right, another question.
Jennifer Rouse is all about
going to go into a whole nother conversation that you might want to be able to talk to out in the hallway, because the word is attainable, but we have a piece of paper that Mr. Boyles has will give you that will show you the difference.
I saw it, I'm just
Yes.
wondering what prevents it from that owner selling it and not being taken. Okay, so that's for sure, yes.
And thank you.
It's a number that they have created. Yes, question, yes.
Couple questions, and I have a discussion on this. The RFP process, and I'm going to look at it. Once Bregus requested information, the pack went to them, and the other RFPs didn't get exactly the same information. Is the city required by law or by statute to give that information, or do they have to request it?
That's a good legal question. I think what the answer would be is, the city attorney made a statement that said it was available if they asked for it. Now, he probably makes C's in the school. I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know your answer. You can find someone here out in the hallway that can answer the question, and I guarantee you, that's them over there probably.
Now, one other quick question. I've seen nothing anywhere, and I try and stay up on this. If the lease on the course expires on the 31st of December.
Correct.
On January 1st, I've seen nothing to say what's going to happen.
Okay, they already put it out. They put a temporary RFP way back in February, so they knew they were not going to go with the current management. That says, if you don't make a decision before December 31st, don't worry, we've got a temporary RFP, 3 groups have responded, and no one, of course, until we make this.
Yeah, can I just respond to this question? All the other people were not told about the 42 acres of additional land they will give away from the land for the housing. Not everybody was told. The practice knew about it, and a few people knew about it, but all the other 9 bidders were not told about the additional 42 acres which they gave to guys. So that's something is not. The RFP just said for the golf course, they didn't say anything about housing, they didn't say anything about 42 acres. So not everybody was given the same basic information in the RFP.
The greatest request that is outside of the RFP is the city selling it.
They knew it right from the beginning that track, they only gave the practice, but other people were not told about it.
That's our assumption, yes. Yes.
Vika, I got a question for you. You said on the, I'm going to use rough, solid numbers, $20 million that they're going to get basically is what they're going to get. You also said there's additional $8 million in additional infrastructure cost. Is that inclusive coming out of $20 million or additional to?
In addition to. So the 20 million they give it, and they give another 8
So it's
million.
really 28 million.
28 million plus another 10 million. I didn't even talk about the other
term
26.
Oh, the church, but I got another question for you. Do you know what that monies are for? Have they said what it's for? It's undisclosed yet.
This is just infrastructure, roads, money signals. It's kind of all vague.
So really, we're going to lose our money further.
Yes, at least 38 million.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a young person that can be here tonight that asked me about the cost of suing the city, like this court case. And I found out already where we can find that out. But that is another cost that goes into this. Is how many people are suing the city? All these people, because they're not doing their job right.
And so one of the things with that QR code, not to cut you off, the QR code that you see there, we partnered with them. You can imagine that this lawsuit that we're doing in federal court is not due. And we are asking that if you do donate that, we're also going to provide some type, maybe, possibly, of some legal assistance to them, like in a legal aid, because they're going to show up on the other side and cram boxes of evidence and stuff to her. She's not going to have time to read it. She needs a legal aid to be able to go through there and look at it. Renting this space costs money. Right now, some of us are donating our own money and our own time. All the other things that we're printing and doing, we're doing that as a group to provide that. But eventually, as you can tell, it costs money to run this. We're just asking if you can, go to our website, see that QR code. Yes?
Have you heard any response back from the NAS Oceana?
Can you? Me? Okay. I emailed public information.
What was the question? I couldn't hear
The
it.
question was, did you hear anything from Oceana? I emailed public information office. They said they would come back based on a person that evidently represents the city as a liaison between Oceana and the city. And his email basically said, don't worry about it. That's what I got.
Oceana is not concerned.
Oceana is not concerned with ACUS or ITA or any of that. Although we play golf over there, and I was there today, you couldn't tell from the person who golfed over there. Yes.
There's a term called US 42, 1983, it's a federal law. If they go ahead and sell this property, and that law says, under the color of law, which means if inside information has occurred with government officials, that's a federal violation. Not only is it a civil action, but it's a criminal action as well. But the occurrence has to occur first, and you can guarantee that's coming right behind that. But it hasn't occurred yet.
Let's go to the side. Yes, sir.
Three things. You made the slides available for us to look at online. That's the first one.
Melissa, can we put slides on our page?
Yes, yeah, there are a lot of resources at the bottom of the page, the VB National page. You'll find the FOIA documents, you'll find a lot of the PCCO stuff, the financial analysis. I'll put up the slides as well.
My bigger question is, no one talks about, it's mentioned in the literature, no one talks about the planning commission's position on this, about the density, the stormwater. I mean, there seems to be, I don't know city council meetings, but what I've watched over the last decades, there's a lot of conditional use permits that get turned down because they violate the planning commission and city parameters. How are they getting around all of those issues? Also, you can build 18 houses, 18 units per acre. You know, we don't care about the stormwater runoff, you know, violating other things. I mean, I think that seems to be a strong point. Is that being addressed?
I sent a message a couple days ago to the city's stormwater administrator, and I got a reply back at 6:52 tonight that asked me to contact the city manager's office for further information.
Well, what is the planning commission's position on this? Is what I'm asking. I mean, or does the city council care with their position?
The planning commissioner,
I have actually someone here.
so we have the planning commissioner here.
Mr. Kemp.
That's awesome. Good information.
All right, so my name's Walter Camp, I'm on the Planning Commission. I have no authority to speak for the Planning Commission. So I'm just speaking for myself in a narrow way to try to answer your question. City Council is considering selling some real estate. Sale of real estate does not go through the Planning Commission. Part of this project that Draught has proposed will involve eventually rezoning part of the golf course to be able to use it for housing. When that happens, it'll come to the Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission isn't involved in what's happening right now. That's what's going on.
Has the city asked the planning commission's opinion on the density and other issues if this development occurs?
The Planning Commission doesn't just give opinions on stuff. And I know this is complicated for some folks who aren't, and I'm not saying it's you, but I was confused too for a long time. The professional staff who work for the city in planning do that kind of work. I'm a volunteer. I'm a citizen like you who got appointed to this commission to give a recommendation on whatever they put on our agenda once a month. So I'm not going to see anything on this if I'm even on the commission at the time until eventually they come to the design.
So staff does have an opinion. They can't represent an opinion.
I can't speak for staff.
Not
Like I said,
just staff in general.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Talking about the city staff that gets information to the council.
That won't
This is
happen,
their opinion.
but that won't happen until after the sales are done.
So then it's like, then
Right.
that's what we agree with the staff's recommendation or opinion. They can,
Absolutely, they have options. But think about it. You're on city council. The only information you get a packet on Friday that's hundreds of pages long. You have to know that information by Tuesday. And then you have senior staff that come in and give you, in the back there in their informal session, they give you a presentation on a win-win situation. Okay?
Sounds like we need to deal with
That's right.
Just one more.
Yeah, and we're going to read it.
I asked the city staff and they said they will staff will do a serious impact analysis. So they haven't done any impact analysis, and they said they'll do all their own later. And that's what it comes to the rezoning decision. So right now, for a sale, the sale will go through, and they'll do all the analysis later.
Rob?
Yes.
One second, everybody. 1 second. The city clerk just emailed me back and asked me to call her tomorrow to discuss the speaking limits.
There you go, Mr. Moss. City clerk just
emailed me back and said to call her tomorrow about the speaking limits.
Yes, I am right, I just checked the state law about it.
Hopefully we get that answer.